Every year about this time, I do a little segment called Thinking Out Loud, where I express gratitude for people and situations that I was lucky enough to experience. Last year was pretty hard on me, but you guys touched me. And because you touched me, I'm referring the matter to my attorneys. You can't go around touching people without their consent. Okay, that's a lie. I'm not suing you. But the concept of a lawsuit summons to mind a book I was reading with my son entitled The Rule of Laws by Fernanda Pirie. The book covers the concept of law from the time of the Sumerians 6,000 years ago to the present day. The author made me think about law in a fresh way. For one, she says that in its earliest iteration, law was about bringing heaven down to earth. For instance, if you look at the stele of Hammurabi, you can see the gods handing him the law. Likewise with Moses with the Ten Commandments coming down from Sinai, or the Brahmin caste in ancient India, basing their laws on the religious texts, the Vedas. In the latter case, if you see the cosmos as being founded on karma, then your secular laws will be based on that, creating an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth system. The trick is making the secular law match up with the cosmic law, as above, so below, the microcosm matching up with the macrocosm. Fernanda Pirie says that this was the oldest version of the law. Secondly, however, law was about maintaining social structures, like stigmatizing adultery, making incest a taboo, preserving stable family structures and hierarchy. The third aspect of law, and the last to be conceptualized, is the practical application of law to sanction robbers or to discourage arson, property damage, embezzlement, and so forth. In India, this third aspect of law was lobbied for by the merchant class, who wanted stability so that the economy wasn't disrupted by crime. In America, we used to have all three components of law, like John Adams saying, "Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." The German philosopher Hegel says that the constitution of any people is derived from the ethos of that people. It's the role of government, he says, to make sure that that ethos survives into posterity. This is the sole purpose of government. Note how John Adams says that that ethos that resulted in our Constitution was a document conceptualized by a religious people. This same reference to religion appears in the Declaration of Independence when Thomas Jefferson refers to our rights as coming from the Creator. The whole concept of human rights comes from a Spanish priest named Francisco Suarez in the 16th century. It was Suarez who said that our rights don't come from government, but from God. Our founding fathers had that religious backdrop in mind when they codified our foundational law. But over and above cosmic law, we also had laws to maintain social order. We had vice squads and morality codes imposed all throughout the United States. In certain places, you couldn't buy beer on Sunday. Divorce was originally highly stigmatized, and adultery was harshly sanctioned. The last two have been thrown away. We no longer have laws based on maintaining social order or laws based on cosmic order. Leaving just the third aspect of law, where the state is supposed to protect property and stop vandalism, which, as the Black Lives Matter protest proved, they're no longer even doing that. In fact, they're not only not protecting property, they're turning the criminal justice system on civic-minded citizens who try to defend it themselves, like Kyle Rittenhouse or the McCloskeys in St. Louis. We may be at a point where the power structures are no longer adhering to any of the three pillars of law, not practical law, not social order, and not cosmic law. In fact, unlike cosmic law, where you're trying to make secular laws align with natural law, the system seems to be bent on imposing unnatural laws. That is to say, laws that go against nature. Cicero, for instance, said thousands of years ago that free association was a critical component of liberty. But when the law in the name of affirmative action forces people together who wouldn't have otherwise been together, they're violating natural law. In nature, birds of a feather flock together. Penguins don't hang out with finches. Eagles don't consort with owls. When social engineers and government try to legislate behavior that runs counter to human nature, say making a baker bake a cake for a gay couple, they're in violation of natural law. In nature, the competent are at the top and the incompetent are at the bottom. If the power of the state is used through quota systems and social engineering to disadvantage the excellent and to promote above them the dysfunctional, the mentally ill, the illiterate, they're violating natural law. In nature, it's not the weakest, most gender-confused bird who leads the flock. So if the state sets this as its goal, it's running counter to the cosmos, contrary to natural law. According to Thomas Aquinas, these violations of natural law are not morally binding on ethical people.
Aquinas thinks that a human law is only just when it's in accord with the natural law, and that laws that conflict with the natural law are not morally binding. The natural law is most clear with respect to certain general and negative precepts, like, for example, the precepts of the Ten Commandments. Theft, murder, lying, adultery, and other sexual sins, suicide, These are wrong always and everywhere because they're contrary to what the natural law teaches us is the good for human beings: self-preservation, sexual union and the raising of children, truth, life together in society.
It's not morally binding on you to participate in your own destruction. It's not morally binding on you to stigmatize strength and celebrate victimhood. It's not morally binding on the citizen to place the foreigner's needs above those of his countrymen. What you're being asked to do is not normal in any other historical period, and it's not normal in nature either. It's the hallmark of every tyrant to go off the rails and to try to stigmatize the normal and the healthy, and to put in its place the ludicrous, like El Presidente in Woody Allen's movie Bananas.
Hear me. I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside, so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket?
Power has driven him mad.
The New American Magazine is now on Locals. It's a for-pay platform for like $5. It gives you access to extra content and allows you to support your favorite hosts. As I said before, think of it like throwing some coins into the cup of a street performer. Check it out at thenewamerican.locals.com.